All right, the people have spoken. 78% of Americans think that the housing market is going to crash and crash soon. Can you believe that? Well, welcome to Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns. Randy Patrick here, putting the realism back in real estate. Today is the 15th of August. The month is pretty much half over. Hope you're doing well. At least in the South, school is back in play here, so people went last week. Obviously, you can tell there's a change in what's going on. I was actually waiting to unveil this little dude here. My daughter got another kitten, and if you remember when I started doing my videos back in the day, we had a black kitten. We called her Bubble Kitty, and we got this little orange guy, and I'm going to call him Crash Kitty now. All right, so for those of you that remember back in the day, I was hoping to do a video on that, but he just popped in. So there you go. You can't control what the kittens do. So this video is brought to you by our friends at Foreclosure.com. If you're looking to find out the distressed property listings in your area, your neck of the woods, go to GetHousingData.com. That's GetHousingData.com. That's my affiliate link. And Foreclosure.com will take care of you. You can check out all the stuff that we're talking about right again in your neighborhood, your zip code, whatever it is, as the market, 78% of Americans think, what, the housing market's going to crash. So this type of stuff is when it all picks up here. All right, so very interesting. ConsumerAffairs.com. They're not a government agency, but there's a company that does surveys, etc. It basically says waiting on a housing market crash. So their key takeaway items are 78% of Americans think we'll soon face a housing market crash. Gen Z is the most likely to want one. Nearly half the respondents believe that 2023 is the year the housing market will crash. 3 in 4 respondents said they have plans to buy a home if the market crashes. On average, they have a little under $30,000 saved. And 82% of homeowners fear a housing market crash would leave them owing more on their home than what it's worth. That is an interesting point right there. Clearly, when you're buying at the top of the market and you're buying with loan programs such as FHA that allow very low down payments, when there is a subtle change, even 5 or 10% in the market, you're underwater. So what do? You're stuck. If anything greater happens, then you're really stuck. So that's interesting to note that a lot of homeowners fear that they would be underwater if that happens. So let's move on here. It's kind of funny, crash or correction. Do you think the housing market's going to crash soon? So yes, 78% of respondents said yes, 22% no. Do you want a housing crash? Funny enough, 37% said no housing crash, 63% said yes. And do you want a housing correction? So of course, more believe a correction, 80% versus 20% no. So it's clear that more people would prefer a housing correction versus a housing crash. But either way, the majority of people, 78%, believe the housing market is going to crash. And again, after what's the word after crash out over there? It's crash soon. So we're looking at something, pretty not too far off in the distant future, right? Well, when do you think the housing market's going to crash? 36% think it's going to actually happen before 2023. The majority, 49%, think it's going to happen in the year 2023. 7% for both 2024 and 2025. So this is just when it's going to crash. Realize that it doesn't just crash and everything goes away the next year. If it crashes now or next year, we've got a good 3 to 5 years of how this is going to play out. So that's why I tell everybody, get prepared for this business. Let's get going on this. This is going to be a wild ride. As I said, these are real people that are surveyed, and it's not mainstream media. It's not people who have other agendas or a bias or whatever. It's like these are people that they survey. I guess it's Consumer Affairs did that, and that's what they're coming up with, okay? Gen Z is the most likely to want to crash to help them purchase their first home. You're right, because that generation knows that it's way too expensive. If I'm going to get a home, I need prices to correct. 3 in 4 respondents said they have plans to buy a home if the market crashes. On average, they have just under $30,000 saved. 69% of respondents say they have cash stashed away in case of a recession, which we're kind of already in a recession right now. Another interesting point right here, guys, is home buyers are in agreement with the experts. A market crash is coming. So that's interesting how they're saying home buyers are in agreement with the experts. A market crash is coming. So is it kind of an already decided conclusion or an agreed upon conclusion that the housing market is going to crash? From this article, it sounds like it is. More than half of baby boomers believe 2023 will bring a housing crisis. But many buyers are hoping for less of a crash, more of a correction. Well, here's the thing. Baby boomers are at the point now where they're into that sort of 80-year-old starting point, right? And what do people do when they're retirement, etc.? They downsize. They may look to travel. They may go into retirement homes or 55-plus communities. So that big McMansion or big house they had may be on the block pretty soon. So essentially, if a housing crisis comes along, the baby boomer market will be affected as well. Interesting enough, said 27% were more likely to prefer a housing correction over a crash, as I mentioned. And it's interesting because this is not economists, talking heads, me, other people on the internet talking housing, crash, crisis, whatever. These are people, okay? Average people across the board. They're just looking at the information and making a decision. The top 10 urban housing market expected to crash first. Austin, Texas. 33% of the people thought Austin was going to crash first. Atlanta, Georgia. Bakersfield, California. LA. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Las Vegas. Baltimore, Maryland. New York. Long Beach. San Francisco. Okay, so when I look at this, very interesting. Pretty much, all of the locations, except for Austin and I think Albuquerque, had massive upswings and downswings in the last housing crisis. Obviously, Texas fared a little better, so they were off to the races a little quicker with respect to recovery. They didn't lose as much, so obviously Austin, Texas at the top. And what else? Albuquerque. Albuquerque was never on my radar back in the day, but it's apparently, it's one of those things. If you're not looking at Phoenix anymore or Arizona, you're going to New Mexico. So interesting to see the top locations. But again, Atlanta, Bakersfield, LA, Vegas, Baltimore, New York, Long Beach, San Fran, those are all, mini epicenters for the last housing crash, prices, etc. So again, nothing really should surprise you here. Can we afford to keep our home? Well, guess what? If a recession hit, would you need to sell your home? That's a very good question. 35% said no. 65% said yes. So 82% of homeowners fear a housing market crash would leave them owing more on their home than what it's worth. Gen Z is the most likely to fear negative equity in their home, while millennials were the least likely. So again, if you're buying later in the housing boom, you are more exposed because you're paying top dollar or overinflated prices, competitive bidding war type prices. So if there's a housing crash, or a correction, you're going to suffer. Remember, and I say this as a point with respect to FHA loans, because FHA loans have been a very popular loan over the past few years. Low down payment, high debt to income ratio, lower credit score, so it's easier to qualify. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not putting down people who bought FHA loans or use them. But the situation is that when you put 3.5% down, okay, just taking very, very rudimentary math, and I don't like doing math in public, right, but very rudimental math, 3.5% down is your cushion. That's the equity that you have going into your home. Well, if it didn't appreciate too much lately because you're buying at the top of the market, if you want to sell your home, well, what's the first thing you do? You list on the MLS with a real estate agent, right? Typically 5 or 6% commission, 2 or 3 points in closing costs. So you're already negative and you're underwater with closing costs, let alone any correction price point or decrease in price or repair issues, whatever. So that's the situation you find yourself in. So yeah, 82% of homeowners fear a housing crash would leave them owing more. They would be underwater, which means you got to bring money to the table to walk away and pay off that loan. That is a very interesting statistic, and that's a scary one too, which shows you that most people realize that, oh crap, we thought the market was going to continue to go up as we're buying our home, whether our appraiser said so or mainstream media said so or our real estate agent said so. Either way, the gamble, the speculation, the roll of the dice was that the market's going to continue to go up, and therefore you're covered from buying at the peak of the market because, of course, it's not going to crash, right? Of course it's going to go up. Well, 82% of people maybe are feeling little scared, maybe not too comfortable right now with respect to where they're going to end up financially if we have some sort of movement in the real estate market. Oh, by the way, guys, if you're not a subscriber to my channel and you appreciate the information I provide, if you could hit that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate that. And if you are a subscriber, please resubscribe, hit the bell notification, help my channel grow. I always lose subscribers on a daily basis. So thank you very much. Okay, interesting stuff here. I like this little, I guess you could say, survey because it's about us. It's about real people in the marketplace, not the investor market, not the hedge funds, not the elite, not the ultra wealthy that can buy $2 million homes in on the coast or $5 million homes in LA or San Fran, whatever. This is all over the place, right? So the percentage of who would need to sell their homes, okay, if a housing crash happened, obviously the least amount of people is 48% in the West. Reason being because of all the equity in those locations like Washington State, Oregon, and California, Idaho, etc., Colorado areas. Okay, clearly the worst place is the East, which is 75%, which is the Northeast, which you've got your Bostons, Philadelphias, New York City, Jersey, the whole bit. They're the most exposed, and there are people who are moving out of there right now. Who would need to sell their homes by area type is, guess what? Urban. More people in urban areas would sell. Rural or small town, not too bad. Suburban, less. So I guess it just depends on where you're at. But obviously, you're paying more and a premium if you're in the urban centers for those good locations close to commuting, downtown, whatever. That's the way it kind of plays out, I guess, here. If you had to sell your home in a recession, would you downsize or go back to renting? Well, 79% said they would downsize. 21% they would rent again. And 1 in 4 baby boomers said they'd rent over downsizing, all right? Because again, baby boomers, they want to sell and move into smaller apartment complex, move into the over 55 or the assisted living or the retirement places. So they're already looking to a change anyway. And when you do move into those places, a lot of them are rental type accommodations. So interesting enough, though, a lot of people would downsize and go from that perspective. All right, paying rent while saving for a mortgage. Is it a renter's opportunity? It's difficult for renters. 84% reported an average rent increase of $327 per month within last year. Meanwhile, 91% feared that increased mortgage rates would price them out of the market. Basically, these concerns were particularly strong in the Northeast. But the point, though, for renters is that if we have a housing crash or correction, that opens up the market for them to possibly be buyers. So if the market doesn't crash or correct, will renters be able to purchase a home the next year? 52% said no, the majority says no. If the housing market crashes, do you think rental increases will slow down? Majority, 72%, said yes. So yeah, now the unique thing about our market where we're at right now is that we have high home appreciation. So a lot of people are priced out of the market for purchasing. And this time around, rental appreciation happened very quickly in a very compressed amount of period of time, the past couple of years. So it's kind of like out of the frying pan into the fire is how the saying goes, right? Well, of course, I can't buy, so I'm forced to rent. Do I stay, maybe get a marginal increase from my landlord or wherever I'm living at, or do I find some new place where raising the rents? What do? You hope for a slowdown, a crash, or a correction to bring things back down to earth, okay? Rents drag along with property prices. Appreciation goes up, rents eventually go up as well, too. Just the past couple of years with this unique market has changed things, okay? 62% of renters overall and 70% of Gen Zers have faced a bidding war when trying to secure a rental, if you can believe that. I didn't even know people had rental bidding wars. I just thought it was only for homes. Over 1 in 4 urbanites believe rent increases won't slow down even if the housing market crashes. Could be true. Housing market crashes, more people are losing their homes to foreclosure and things like that, and they become renters. So who knows how that's going to play out. All right, key takeaways from this video, okay, and this article here. Again, the majority, 78% of Americans that were surveyed think we'll soon face a housing market crash. Gen Z is the most likely generation to actually want to crash. Half of the respondents believe it's going to start in 2023. But again, it's going to start in 2023. Realize it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't actually go away in a month or a year. It's going to take 2 to 3, well, actually longer, 3 to 4 to 5 years for it to all roll out. If go back to the last housing crisis, okay, we were peaking in 2006, crashing started 2007, trough 2012. That's a good 6-7 year period, guys, from top to bottom. 3 to 4 respondents said they plan to buy a home. If the market crashes, 82% of homeowners fear a housing market crash would leave them owing more on their home than what it's worth. And that's a big scary thing right there, which means they know, those 82% of people know that deep down they overpaid for their house and they don't feel good about it, which is unfortunate, but that's where we're at in this sort of precarious, teeter-tottering of market right now. Okay, guys. Hey, realize that I'm trying to keep these videos short, so I'm going to talk fast and get through this really quick. Oh, looking for more real estate agents in Florida. If you're an agent, give me a call. Let's connect. I'm looking to open up in other metro locations as well, too, to buy and sell and add agents. I'm looking for investor buyers to come in with me on deals, looking for private lending partners, and looking to work with people who are in syndication equity funds on acquisition. So if those things interest you, a lot of people connected with me a couple years ago during COVID, but things just were stalled because of the moratoriums. Well, it's happening now, guys. Let's reconnect, okay? For those of you who want to get involved with respect to this marketplace, how do you do it? Foreclosures, short sales, and things like that. My short sale program is being retired. Limited time to get it. It's virtually over. New foreclosure product replacements underway right now. Basically, connect with me. This is the time, all right? Things are happening. I can't stress upon you, or I can't stress upon everybody what's happening in the marketplace right now, what's going on behind the scenes. If you knew it, you jump on board, you get moving now, okay? Mark my words, it's going to be very competitive out there, this next wave of distress. So get into the game now, learn it, get involved, figure it out. I can help you do that. Please connect with me. All right, guys. I'll tell you how to engage the distressed housing market. It's my email, randy@luxuryshortsales.com. Let's connect. And once again, thank you for the views, likes, comments. Please share the video with your family and friends. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I look forward to speaking with you later on this week. All right, remember, 78% of Americans think that we're going to have a housing crisis or crash, and it's coming soon. Talk to you soon.